Hi everyone, this is an introductory video for the Flipped Classroom number 1 that will be on Thursday the 14th of January. So what I want to do is give you a little bit of background as to what you should prepare for, or how you should prepare for the Flipped Classroom. Now remember, the Flipped Class, while there will be activities going on in class and it will be marked, it isn't a test. And so you can bring your laptop with you, you can bring MATLAB with you, you can bring paper with you, a pencil. You got to bring a pencil. You can bring your friend along with you, your classmate, and you'll work in groups on some exercises that I'll give you in class. All right. So here are a couple of slides to show you what we're talking about here. All right. So first thing to do is you want to go over to the York University Library website and have a look at the MATLAB for Psychologists ebook, as well as the book on MATLAB by Stormy Attaway. Both of them are free. Both of them are ebooks. They're both available for York students on the York University Library website. So please download both or have a look at both. Now for the first book, really all you need to do is skim over the basic operations chapter. There aren't really any sample problems that you can work through, but at least there's a little bit of explanation material that you can go through there. The Stormy Attaway book, on the other hand, while it's geared a little bit more towards engineers, has a lot more sample problems in it. So I'd suggest looking at the sample problems in there. And I'll stay away from the type of engineering problems that engineering students would normally get, and more on sort of general interest MATLAB programming questions. So in the Stormy Attaway book, you really only need to read up to section 1.4. All right, and in the MATLAB for Psychologists book, really only up to about page 14. Okay, so you want to look at the MATLAB for Psychologists book. You want to sort of try and answer questions like, what is a floating point number? What are two uses for parentheses in MATLAB? In terms of variables, in MATLAB, if I assign numbers to two variables and add these variables together, what happens? And what are the rules for naming variables? These are the sort of things that you want to explore in preparation for the class. In addition, you may want to examine some basics about what a matrix is and how you would set up a matrix row or column and what the colon operator would be good for. Those would be things that you might want to take a look at. In the first chapter of the Stormy Attaway book, you want to read up to and including section 1.4. There's some relevant problems at the end of that chapter. Do make sure to look at the summary at the end of the chapter, and we'll do a couple of examples. All right, to prep yourself, you want to either download MATLAB so you get a purchase of it, or try it out with WebFAS. Okay, now in class you'll work in groups of up to 3 on exercises that I'll show you in a little bit. You will be either asked to give out the answers orally, or more likely to answer the questions using the Scantron bubble sheets. So you'll want to make sure that you bring a pencil with you. If you haven't used a Scantron sheet before, this is what it looks like. You'll be required to fill in your student ID number, both in terms of circles along in this section right here, and you'll want to also put your ID in handwritten form right there. You'll write your name of the class, date. Again, you'll write your student ID here, and then you'll answer the individual questions in this section of the Scantron. Okay, so here's the first sample question. All right, so the question here is, what would be the result of this operation? And the assumption here is that we're dealing with MATLAB. Okay, so what would happen if you were faced with the MATLAB prompt in the command window and you typed in 2 multiplied by, in parentheses, 5 plus 3. So what would this calculate as? Well, first you have to do the 5 plus 3, and this is going to be 8. And then you multiply 2 by 8, and that gives you 16. What's the answer? The answer is C, 16. Here's a slightly more difficult question. What would happen if you were to do this operation at the MATLAB prompt? So here's the prompt in MATLAB, and we have a bunch of parentheses. We have opening parentheses over here, and we have a bunch of closing parentheses like this one, for instance. Well, the first thing to do is you take a look at the most deeply nested set of parentheses, and you go from left to right. So here, we've got 7 plus 2. This is equal to 9. Next set of parentheses, 3 multiplied by 3. That's also equal to 9. You multiply those together because they are found within another set of parentheses. So 9 multiplied by 9, that's 81. And then you take a look at what 81 is minus 22. And that would be E, 59. All right. So what you want to do is be able to break down the problem based on the order of operations. And in this case, the order of operations depends on whether it's multiplications, whether it's additions, where the parentheses are, etc. We have discussed this in class, and it's also written in those textbooks that I mentioned. Now, here's another potential question that you could be asked. This would be a question on commands in MATLAB. And what happens if I type in the following command in MATLAB? So here's the prompt, here's the command, and we're assuming or implying that you would type in enter or return afterwards. And then there's a bunch of answers after here. Now, I'm not going to give you the answer as to what goes on here. I'm going to encourage you to load up MATLAB and give it a try and see which of these answers right here is the best one. Okay, so there you have it. These are some sample questions. You want to make sure that you prepare really well for the flipped classroom. In order to prepare yourself, you may want to have a look at these following problems in the Stormy Attaway textbook for MATLAB that's available on the university library website. In order to find it on the university website, just go into the search engine and type in the name of the author. Her name is Stormy Attaway. She's relatively easy to find in the library. So chapter 1, problems 2, 4, 5, and 6. All right, so remember, this is going to be on Thursday, January 14th. All right, see you then.